Welcome to the Healing for Male Survivors podcast. This is a podcast for male survivors of sexual abuse and assault, whether as a child or as an adult. Know that you are not alone and the abuse was not your fault. My name is Mike Chapman. I'm a certified recovery life coach and also a survivor. Let's find hope and healing together. 13 years ago, 200 men came forward. That was the reminder I received on a recent email from Men Healing with their normal email newsletter, and they were celebrating and honoring the Oprah Winfrey video episode where she had 200 men in her audience who were all survivors of childhood sexual abuse, and they all had photos of the age when they were first abused. And that inspired me. I remembered watching that episode, and I went ahead and rewatched it recently. And here are my thoughts. If you're interested in viewing this on your own, the link is available in the show notes for the first episode. It was a two-part episode. The second part, they only have a video preview of a few minutes. However, they also have links to their summary page of that second episode. And in text, it explains a lot more about what went on during the second interview. So it's a good read. And at the end of that, they actually have a few additional links to video clips from that second episode as well. Rewatching it after several years of not watching it, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I rewatched it. I feel that so heavy sense of emotion that's emanating from that room full of male survivors. And I relate to every man in that room whenever they did a camera pan along all of those men. And I remember the first time I watched this, I think when it first came on, because I was still dealing with those issues at that time, 13 years ago for sure, and I felt so much not alone. Watching these men tell their stories, I really wanted them to do episode after episode. I wanted to hear every single one of their stories and know what their stories were. And though they only pulled up a few individuals, but they occasionally pulled the audience, and you got a lot of hand raises and so forth, and claps and whatnot in agreement to whatever those questions were. But it just touched me so deeply. It was so hard to explain. I don't know how you felt when you first saw it, if you saw it. Or maybe you were there in the audience. If so, I'd love to hear from you to see how that went. From an audience's perspective. I know on Male Survivor, it has been talked about several times, and a few alumni from that audience have shared their experiences there. But I'm so honored that these men came forward to tell their stories. And Tyler Perry, especially, he kind of started the ball rolling when he had shared on a previous episode his own story of abuse. And that inspired Oprah to do this episode. And first they showed the twin brothers who were abused and gang raped by priests. That was one story. And it was mentioned that someone, it may have been Oprah, said that was the worst story they had ever heard. And then, she said that to Patrick and Kevin, and they responded they had heard worse. They had heard worse stories than their own. And then Oprah realized, yes, all pain is the same. And I've talked about that here and other places when people who have like non-contact abuse, where it's just pornography or exposure or whatever that they were forced to view, or sexual acts they were forced to view being performed by others, and other mild contact abuse where it's kissing and that kind of thing, that it's, oh, that's minor, it's not as severe. It is severe. All pain is the same, and it can all affect us in severe profound ways. And it's not a contest. I know if you've heard my story, it's on the previous episodes that I often get told, "Oh my gosh, that's such a horrible story," um, and mine is not as bad as yours. It's like all pain is the same. I love that when she said that. That's so true. That yes, all pain is the same, but it doesn't matter if it was mild or severe or one time or ongoing, that it can have a profound impact on us. So I really appreciated when she mentioned that. And then she continues, when you are abused at a young age, it changes who you think you are. It changes you. You start to act and react and be a completely different person than you would have been had this never happened to you. And that's so true. We don't know who we are. Some of us who were abused later on in childhood could have memories of who they were as a child before the abuse happened. For me, it happened at infancy, so there was no prior me. I didn't have a chance. I mean, just a few months old when the first abuse occurred. So, yeah, all of those, that complex PTSD was forming at such a young age. I never had a chance to know who I would have been. However, now that I've been experiencing so much healing through therapy, through coaching, through studies, through interacting, through telling my story, all those things, I'm becoming a new me. No longer the broken me, but the new healing, moving forward, moving from victim to survivor to thriver. And now I'm in that thriver mode. And it is so healing seeing my growth, seeing how I respond to like strangers. I'll just start having random conversations with strangers, which is, yeah, not me at all, or not former me at all. And after those interactions happen, I'm like, who was that? Who was that talking to that stranger? That certainly wasn't me. And I would get a little freaked out and realizing, yeah, that's new me, that I talk to random strangers and as if it was perfectly normal. And that's tremendous growth. And I'm always amazed by that. Oprah continues talking about forgiveness. And I love this definition that she gives that I also talk about this, and I know forgiveness is a huge topic in the survivor community about forgiving our perpetrators. And here's what she says. By forgiveness, you don't mean in any way for you to be able to say, that was okay, what happened to me. Forgiveness means I am not going to let you continue to hold the reins over my life. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could have been any different. It's accepting the past for what it was and using this moment and this time to help yourself move forward. And that's very profound and very true. And they say, yes, anger and bitterness and resentment towards anyone who has done wrong to us and harboring to that anger and that bitterness is like putting poison in a cup and drinking it ourselves and wanting them to suffer. And that's so true that the harboring that anger and bitterness towards another, it will eat up us and not harm them. So the forgiveness is for us, even if we never talk to that person and let them know that we forgive them. And it also means no reconciliation as well. That's a whole nother matter about reconciling the relationship. And that does require their effort to try to resolve things and reconcile the relationship. I know later on in the episode they talked about Chad, who was abused by his own father and confronted his father. And that struck me as well, that him being able to confront his father. My father, my perpetrator, is still alive, still out there. Um, and would I ever have the guts to confront him? Um, I don't. I live across the country from him, so he has no interaction in my life or my family's life. And I don't know. I don't know if I even need to. He's not been part of my life. I yeah, it's that touched me because yeah, bravo to Chad for being able to do that. But I don't know if I could do that, or I would even want to do that. Um, yeah, I no, it can be very difficult. But overall, so thrilled with this episode. So glad she did this. It meant so much, and still, even to this day, has such a profound impact. And anyone who's affiliated with Oprah and her products, please let them know we want the full part 2 episode streaming somewhere, please. That would be wonderful and would mean so much. But I'm glad they at least have some of those uh, things available for us to watch. And I will put all that in the show notes. And I think that's it. That's all of my thoughts for that I wanted to share. And Happy New Year. And starting next week, we're going to be doing live Zoom interviews. Those are actually starting tonight. If you are interested, this is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. And if you're interested in joining us, go to polarlifeconsulting.com/live, and there's information on how to join the live podcasts. And we'll still post them here as new episodes. But if you want to join live and add Q&A to the live interaction, and we're actually having it on video there, though I'll don't think I'll post full episodes on video. We're still using audio only for now. Might do video. Who knows? This is a growing and changing thing with this podcast, and we'll see how it goes. And thank you so much, and have a great year. Look forward to spending more time with you. If you would like to learn more about my coaching with Polar Live Consulting, where I provide one-on-one coaching and group coaching, both with a focus on healing for male survivors, reach out to me at polarlifeconsulting.com. That is Polar spelled Polar. I would love to hear from you. I want to hear your story. If you would like your story featured on this podcast, contact me via my website. If you like this podcast, please rate and review, because that's how other people can find me, and I really want to spread this message of healing and hope to others. And remember, you are not alone. Healing is possible, and the abuse was not your fault. Let me repeat that. The abuse was not your fault. See you next time on the Healing for Male Survivors podcast.